So let's go to page number 4. All right, this is what you guys will be going through later on. We're basically just talking about, how to create sort of a roadmap for that athlete. Or if you're thinking about yourself, that's fine too. And first thing that you want to do, especially if I'm like assessing an athlete, sitting down with them for the first time, is going to take them through their long-term development. Like, what are your kind of career goals? Where do you want to be in X amount of years, or like once you're done with your career, looking back, like what did you want to see from that, right? And then from that, we'll kind of build backwards for all of this. We'll just first of all see, okay, where are we at now? Where are we going to kind of be at over the next couple of years? And then how are we going to create a plan that kind of creates that, all right? Just working backwards. So the first thing that we're going to need to do and actually be able to create a plan for this person is to be like, where are you at now? And where we got the where you want to be, but where are you at now? And that's something that I think most people don't spend enough time at, like where you need to actually assess that person, not just guess where they're at, right? So don't guess, assess. Yeah. So again, the other thing is assessments should be relevant, right? All the time people are doing things that aren't relevant, right? Like having a baseball player deadlift as much as they can, like that doesn't matter to the baseball player, right? We just need to be able to figure out something that actually, again, is a relevant context, right? Again, if we're deadlifting, we somehow tie that into their sport and show them a way that it's going to improve their performance, then okay, that could work, right? Even if it's the exact same thing, if the way we think about it or explain it to our athlete is different and it becomes relevant, then that's fine, right? And again, relevance is context dependent. So the biggest thing there, we have to, again, keep in mind the context of the athlete. What are the demands of their sport? And then what, again, are we needing to prepare them for, and then we should create an assessment based on those things. All right. So things to think about here. When does the athlete actually need to peak for their sport? Because again, we're going to be working backwards. And then how long do you have until then, right? So if I have an athlete for 2 years from now is going to be competing in some Olympic Games, right? That's a really long time that we can kind of take to slowly build them into that. And we can really take and be time to be deliberate and to learn more skills and higher order things to be able to prepare them a little bit slower for where they're going. Whereas if I have a kid come to me and in two months or less, right, he's basically in the preseason getting ready for a sport, I'm going to treat those two completely differently, right? Just because of the amount of time I have for them. And then again, where the demands of your sport, that's one of our anchoring questions. We'll keep coming back to that. Like what are you actually required to do, right? And then what kind of physical qualities are tied to that? So what physical qualities actually need to be developed for that athlete, right? So what exercises, energy systems, and we'll talk more about that later on. Tests, will you plan to, again, test and then retest to show improvement? So if we're testing something and then we never retest it again, it's kind of pointless, right? We need to test and then do something that deliberately improve that and then retest them. And again, that has to be relevant and tied to their activity, their sport. Right? And then what relative weaknesses are present or likely present that you can bring up? And again, they've got to be relevant, right? So if we have a cross-country runner with tight shoulders, like again, if that doesn't really matter, like why do we even care about their tight shoulders? Like if that's not something that we're actually trying to improve or it doesn't really matter to improve, that's fine, right? But if we take that same cross-country runner and explain to them, oh yeah, like your shoulders are tight and you're kind of in this, K position and now you can't breathe while you're running and now you're tying in issues to your hip flexors and other things, now it becomes really relevant to them and something that, again, we can actually be like, okay, if we improve this, now we can improve the way that you breathe and now we can improve your performance. All right, so that's kind of the goal there.